Konnichiwa, welcome to lesson 3. Some of you who have done some Japanese already may be wondering how I've managed to get through 2 entire lessons without using or even mentioning the wa particle. I'm well aware that most courses start you on wa from the beginning. Watashi wa Amerikajin da, pen wa aoi. And this is really a very, very bad idea because it leaves you completely unclear about what the particles really do and about the logical structure of sentences. However, we're now ready to look at the wa particle and find out what it does and, just as important, what it doesn't do. The wa particle can never be a part of the core sentence. It can never be one of the black carriages, the main car A, the thing we are saying something about, or the engine B, the thing we are saying about it. It can't be a white car either, because white cars, like the O car, are part of the logical structure of the sentence, and a wa-marked noun is never part of the logical structure of a sentence. Wa is a non-logical particle. So, if wa is not a black car or a white car, what kind of a carriage is it? Well, it's not a carriage at all. A wa-marked noun looks like this. That's right, it's a flag. Why do we depict it as a flag? Because that is what wa does. It flags something as the topic of the sentence. It doesn't say anything about it. That's what the logical sentence is there for. Wa simply flags the topic. Now, some of the textbooks will tell you that a sentence like Watashi wa Amerikajin da literally means as for me. I am an American, and that is exactly correct. If they would stick with that logic and carry it through, we wouldn't have the trouble we have. So, watashi wa means as for me. Amerikajin da means equal American, or am American. So as you see, with a sentence like this, something is missing, both from the Japanese and the English. We can't say, as for me, I'm American. Neither can we have a sentence without an A car, without a ga marked door. So if we put the A car in, it makes sense in both English and Japanese. Watashi wa zero ga Amerikajin da. As for me, I am an American. Now, some of you may be saying, isn't it overcomplicated? Can't we just pretend that watashi wa is the main car of the sentence? And the answer to that is no. Because although it works in this case and some other cases, it doesn't work in every case, and that is why we really mustn't do it. Let's take an example. There's an old joke among Japanese learners, and it's only possible because of how badly Japanese is taught. The joke is, a group of people are dining in a restaurant, and they're discussing what they're going to eat, and somebody says, watashi wa unagi da. Unagi means eel. So the joke is that this person has literally said, I am an eel. After all, if watashi wa Amerikajin da means I am an American, then watashi wa unagi da must mean I am an eel. That's absolutely perfect logic. Except that watashi wa Amerikajin da doesn't mean I am an American, it means as for me, I am an American. As we know, the default value of the invisible car, the zero pronoun, is watashi, but that isn't its only value. Its value depends on context. In watashi wa Amerikajin da, as for me, I am an American, the value of the zero pronoun is indeed watashi. But in watashi wa unagi da, which is watashi wa zero ga unagi da, zero is not watashi. Zero is it. It is the thing we're talking about, the subject of the conversation, what we are eating for dinner. And this is going to affect all kinds of sentences as we become more advanced in Japanese. So, what we're going to do now is take another one of the cars and look at that, and then see how it all works together with wa. The car we're going to introduce today is a white car, and this is the ni car. It makes a kind of trio with ga and wo. In A does B sentences, ga tells us who does the doing, wo tells us what it is done to, and ni tells us the ultimate target of that doing. Now, we don't always have a wo, we don't always have a ni. But let's take this wo sentence. Watashi ga boru o nageru. Boru is ball, and nageru means throw. So this is I threw a ball. The core sentence is I threw. Watashi ga nageru. And the white card tells us what I threw. It was a ball. Now, if we say, watashi ga boru o sakura ni nageru, this means I throw a ball at Sakura or to Sakura. Sakura is the destination, the target of my throwing. And it's very important to note here that it is the logical particles ga, o, and ni that tell us what is happening. The order of the words doesn't really matter the way it does in English. What matters is the logical particles. So if I say, watashi ni Sakura ga boru o nageru, I'm saying Sakura throws the ball at me. If I say, boru ga watashi ni Sakura o nageru, I'm saying the ball throws Sakura at me. It doesn't make any sense, but we might want to say it in a fantasy novel or something. We can say whatever we like in Japanese, so long as we have the logic of the particles correct. But now, let's introduce wa into this sentence. Watashi wa sakura ni boru o nageru. This is watashi wa zeru ga sakura ni boru o nageru, as we know. What it means is, as for me, I throw the ball at Sakura. Now let's give the wa to the ball. Boru wa watashi ga Sakura ni nageru. What we're saying now is, as for the ball, I threw it at Sakura. The important thing to notice here is that when we change a logical particle from one noun to another, we change what's actually happening in the sentence. But when we change the non-logical particle wa from one noun to another, I can change it from me to the ball. It makes no difference to the logic of the sentence. It makes a difference to the emphasis. I'm now talking about the ball. As for the ball, what happens to the ball is that I throw it at Sakura. But who is doing what? And what they're doing it with, and what they're doing it to, none of that changes when we change the wa particle. And that's the difference between a logical and a non-logical particle. Now, I would like to thank my patrons and supporters on Patreon who are helping to make these videos possible. In particular, I would like to thank Pacifico Bon Magno, who is my first Gold Kokeshi producer angel. What does that mean? Well, why not pop over to my Patreon and see for yourself. Thank you, all of you, who are helping to make this possible by supporting me on Patreon. And to everybody, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments below and I will answer. And if you'd like to try any sentences based on the principles in this lesson, please put them in the comments and I will correct them. Thank you for attending this lesson. Korekara mo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Class dismissed.